Right, and this is something you're right about.
I bump into someone every day that's talking about they hear me on the show with you, or they've just started listening and love it.
You are a truth sayer. I've said that about you your whole life. You hold no punches back.
You and I, we've always had a really healthy respect for each other, and I respect what you do.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
My goal on TV was to bring a smile to everybody's face.
Look at check swing. Did he go? Yes. Laid away. Look at
based on the first two at-bats against Lodolo, it doesn't look like Shohei Ohtani is picking up the ball very well at all.
swing and a miss. Struck him out. Struck him out. First time this year, double-digit punchies for Nick Lodolo.
Well, this is the third time against Ohtani.
I promise you, we're going to have a team that you're proud of. We've worked really hard. I'm very confident in this group. We have an unbelievable challenge in front of us. We embrace that. You know, I've told them all, I've told the media, I've told the team, bring it on. You know, we have a very tough schedule. We're going to take it one day at a time, one game at a time. We tee it up this week. Our players report on Tuesday. Our first practice is on Wednesday, and I can't wait.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. Honored and pleased to be with you. I'm Alan Cutler. Honored and pleased that you're spending part of your valuable day with me, or maybe it's tonight you're listening on podcast, or tomorrow morning, or anywhere in the country, or as Tommy Heights has told me, say hi to the truck drivers because he's told them about the show. And Tommy, when he's in his truck, will listen to the show. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is nuts, but I'm going to start with the Reds. So Hal McCoy joined us yesterday, the Hall of Famer, and the story he told about after he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. And how about that? They had an ESPN meeting about what the order was going to be, and they were going to put him after Bob Uecker. And I don't know if you've ever heard Bob Uecker's speech, but if you haven't, it's as funny as you think it is, because it's Bob Uecker. And he said, no, you can't do that. And so they switched it, so Hal went first. Well, afterwards, he's with family. He's walking down Cooperstown. This lady comes out and says, I need your autograph. Well, sure. First of all, who's going to say no? Plus, Hal is a gentleman and a really nice man, and he's honored somebody wants his autograph. When he was just put in the Hall of Fame, it was Babe Ruth's daughter. And he's going, hey, I should be asking you for an autograph. So as part of the conversation, I criticized some of the things that Tito has done, especially recently. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, but I thought it was great, still think it's great, that Terry Francona is managing the Reds. But sometimes when people get up close, you start seeing different things. For example, yesterday, I still can't believe yesterday he had Marte in the number 9 hole. Marte can't field, which baffles me because he came up as a shortstop, and then they moved him to third base, and he's awful. He's an awful third baseman. So he should DH. He had him ninth. Look, Stevenson is the catcher, and he's really the second best catcher, but they DH him all the time. And he's been in the big leagues for quite a while now. He is what he is. Look at Marte's numbers. Marte's numbers are really, really good. I mean, really good. He's on pace, if he had like 520 at-bats, for 28 home runs and 112 RBIs. Let me repeat. He's on pace for 28 home runs and 112 RBIs. Would he do that? I have no clue. He hit a home run yesterday. That was his 7th in 131 at-bats. He's got 28 RBIs. And you know what I really like? The hug between he and Ellie in the dugout after the home run. Ellie's kind of helped him out, kind of like a brother. Why do you bat him 9th? He needs to be the DH every day, batting 6th. It's as obvious as the nose on my face. And it's a terrible move. It's a terrible move by the Reds. You've got to find out about this young man. He's like, oh, my gosh, he's a terrible fielder, which, again, shocks me, but that's neither here nor there. Here's the point. Marte hits a home run against the Dodgers. Espinal, who to me is a AAA player or the kind of guy that is your last guy on the team, and it's good. He hustles. He can play a lot of positions. Does a nice job playing defense. He's a horrendous batter. Horrendous. Jimmy, Francona has the numbers. In 266 at-bats, just take a guess how many RBIs he has so far this year. Just take a guess. Whatever you're thinking, it's lower. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. Whatever you're thinking, it's lower. Let me go lower again. Throw out a number since I've told you lower. 266 at-bats, which is crazy. He shouldn't have 260 at-bats. That's not the point. How many RBIs do you think he has?
25.
Remember when I said lower?
Yeah.
Okay, so at 266 at-bats, he, let's say, was a regular the rest of the year. And I like to do stuff based upon either 500 or 600 bats. He's not going to get 600 bats. You know, that would be 50 RBIs. Would you say that sucks if you had 500 at bats? Okay. Are you really sitting down? I can see you. You're sitting down.
Yes.
He has 14 RBIs. At the end of the season, I've already made myself a note. I don't know if I'll remember or not, that I'm going to guess there'll be nobody in baseball, and I bet there won't be 3 that'll have 500 at bats with 28 RBIs. Actually, most of those guys won't get to 500 at-bats. But here's the point. He's a terrible hitter. Terrible. Can I say terrible again? Fraley hits a home run. Terry Francona pinch hit Espinal for Fraley. Let me repeat. Fraley had hit a home run, and he pinch hits Espinal for Fraley. And then, you know, with the old double switch, he takes Marte out. So the 2 guys who have hit home runs, he takes out of the game. And when they got Connor Joe, I immediately went on the air and said he's not a major league player. I followed his career. I don't know how he always has a job. God bless, more power to him. He's cheap, doesn't make a lot of money, can play a lot of positions mediocre-wise, okay, and he's a terrible hitter. He's just not a good major league player. So you're taking Fraley out, and you're taking Marte out, and you're playing the Dodgers. You're playing the Dodgers. And Marte was batting 9th 2 days ago. It's awful. It's awful. So somebody came back at me when I teased the show. Hey, you know, Francona's great. All of everybody. He is. Terry Francona's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's great that he's the manager of the Reds. But I got to tell you this, and I've seen this before. Sometimes when somebody gets close to you, you get to see their warts. This is not the first time he's done it. Let me continue. And I don't think this is Tito. I think it's management. Because one of the first things Francona said early on was that Ellie is my shortstop. Okay. So he booted the ball, and then on one of the bigger plays of the game, on the relay throw, he dropped it. He might have been able to throw the guy out at the plate. And that was a huge run. It was a huge run. He's not a shortstop. How many times do I have to say he's not a shortstop? So Hal McCoy, and I don't think he'll mind me saying this, when I sent him some things, you know, he put up a column on the game last night, which was very good. And I'm pointing these things out, and he said Tito had a bad day. And I get part of it is because he really likes Tito. Who doesn't like Tito? And by the way, when I talked to him for a very brief moment when they were here at the Red Mile when we did our show, he had no idea who I was. We had some conversations, not many, when he was in Pittsburgh. He was one of the nicest guys in the world back then. I think it's great he's with the Reds. But this is not bad. It's awful. Let's put it this way. I got all kinds of stuff to talk about that's pertinent about UK. And I'm so ticked off. It's Espinal. 14 RBIs and 266 at-bats. You're playing the Dodgers, and you're putting him in to pinch hit for a guy who just did a home run. I mean, I don't want to call Tito a dumbass. I don't. I have a ton of respect for him. I do. And I got to tell you, Jimmy, I'm thinking maybe there's an injury or something. And I get the lefty-righty thing, okay? I get it. I wouldn't care if Fraley's batting 100. You don't make the switch. And how about this? The guy just a home run. He's feeling really good about himself, right? It's just unconscionable. It's just Marte needs to play every day at DH, period. Trevino is a better catcher. Politically speaking, they're not going to play him over Stevenson. And by the way, it was interesting when Trevino got extended 2 extra years. Was it 2? I think it was, for $5 million a year. And some people said, I saw it on Twitter. Hey, why are you extending this backup catcher? $5 million, it's a lot. And I came on my show and said, are you kidding? That's cheap. That's cheap. That's cheap. That's cheap. He's great with handling pitchers. He wants to be a big league manager. He's wonderful in the clubhouse. He's a better catcher than Stevenson, and I think a better clutch hitter. But Stevenson has the reputation. By the way, Steve, I've seen him interview. He's a really nice guy. I think he really cares. I think he's a nice baseball player. But, when he becomes a free agent, if they pay him a lot of money, they got rocks in their head. I tell you what I can do when he becomes a free agent. I can find a backup catcher who's pretty good and save $6, $7, $8 million. Because what I would pay him, he wouldn't play for. And I get it. I get it. It's okay. I get it. And I got a no filter myself. I was pushing and pushing and pushing for Ashcraft to go in the bullpen. Jimmy, I don't know if you remember that, but I'm just saying I was pushing for it, and they did, and I was excited. And I said I thought he'd become a good eighth inning guy in what I call the positive side of the bullpen. In other words, when you're leading, you get in there. So far, I'm absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. It is what it is. I'm not right about everything. I'm right on tons more stuff than some people want to give me credit for. But, Jimmy, take a look at Marte's numbers. 7 home runs and 28 RBIs and only 131 at-bats, and he can hit. And, by the way, the home run he hit was against a pitcher who, take a look at how many home runs this guy gives up. It was a hell of a swing. It's like he's coming into his own. Marte is exciting to me as a hitter. Exciting. And what do the Reds need? Oh, we need to get another bat. Hello? Hello? Tell me you disagree with a single syllable of that.
No, I just like to echo your point of Ellie needs to move to center field or the outfield in general.
He booted an easy ground ball and then on a relay throw, drops it. And again, I don't know if he would have gotten him out of the plate. If anybody in baseball could have got him out of the plate from the shortstop, it's him with his arm. You know that. Just dropped it. That was it. That was it. Matter of fact, when the Dodgers sent him, they're really going to send him? They're going to test his arm? And by the way, was it a perfect throw to LA relay? No. He's a major league player. Catch the damn ball. He dropped a simple relay. He's a terrible shortstop. And I keep on saying that. Yet, you know what? He might have the top play on ESPN tomorrow or next week or something like that for some spectacular play he makes that everybody loves to see. Everybody loves to see. Last thing, Lodolo had 11 Ks last night. 11 strikeouts in 5 1/3. I think he struck out the first 6 batters. He struck out Shohei 3 times. Shohei, by the way, was pitching tonight, and the word they gave last night on the Reds broadcast, because he did 3 innings the last time, they are building him up for postseason, that he might go 4 innings tonight. Of course, it could depend upon how he pitches and the pitch count and all that kind of stuff. I would think there'll be a packed house for Shohei. Packed house. Packed house. By the way, he has 38 home runs, and Jimmy on pace for 56 home runs and 108 RBIs. Incredible. Lodolo was great last night. He's turned into one of the better pitchers in the National League. It's interesting. And the 2 lefties that they have, it's fascinating to watch their body language and how much calmer they are. They're so much calmer, which you would hope and expect. They're really good. They're really, really good. That was just, that loss is on the manager. And I don't like doing that. Jimmy, I would bet you a soda pop. Why do I saying soda pop again? I don't drink soda pop. That there isn't a sports talk show host in Cincinnati that have the kahunas to either say what I'm saying or understand what I'm saying. Now, Mo Egger would understand. Now, Lance McAllister would understand. Lance would never say that. Oh, no. Mo, maybe. 14 RBIs and 266 at-bats, and what are you doing? What are you doing? You are pinch hitting a guy with 14 RBIs and 266 at-bats for a guy who just hit a home run. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I thought I'd feel better after getting this rant off. I'm not, but I need to move on. move on. We're going to stick with a little baseball thing. Would you cue up Sean Dunston? We talked about this yesterday with Hal McCoy. Everybody in the country was talking about the obvious. Ryan Sandberg, one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest guys to play baseball, a guy who was kind of quiet but loved. And he passed away from cancer. And Jason Stark, one of the great baseball writers, had a tweet that over the weekend for the Hall of Fame that thought, look, these guys know. They knew Ryan Sandberg was on his last legs, and that took over Cooperstown, yet they kept that quiet. Nobody was going to talk about it. And I get it, and I understand that and all that kind of stuff. And Ryan Sandberg, his partner at shortstop, with a great double play combination with Sean Dunston, and how Sandberg, you're going to hear this, was calling them, saying, I love you, and some of the things Sandberg did. And he and, I mean, they were together forever. I mean, I'm not saying they were the best. They weren't tinkers, ever's the chance. It's one of the great combinations in the history of baseball going back over 100 years. I'm not saying they're the best combination shortstop to second base, but when you talked about great combinations with double plays and working together and stuff like that, were they up there? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Were there 5 better combinations when they both played together? Absolutely not. Were there 3? I don't think so. I don't think so. And some years you could say they were number 1, but they also were very close. So Dunston, like a lot of Sandberg's teammates, are obviously really, really, really hurting, especially, Dunston and Sandberg, their lockers were next to each other all those years, talking before games, conversation, sharing stuff. It's unbelievable. This was from the MLB Network, Dunston talking about Ryan Sandberg.
During the last days, man, we as men don't know how to express our feelings to each other. Men don't know how to say we love each other. So it's kind of touching. The last couple of days, I spoke with him, me, Andre, and Ryan spoke on the phone. And he wanted to speak to me and Andre. And he told us that he loved us. And he's more than being his teammate. Because Andre's hurt him. All the companies are hurt him. He wanted to tell everybody that, even though he didn't speak much, he spoke. And he spoke to me and told me and Andre and Grace that he loves us. And he loves all you Cub fans too. Go Cubs.
That was unbelievable. And then at the end, when Dunston said all that, he told the guys in the network, hey, can I say one more thing? Wow. This is a terrible segue, but I feel sorry for Jimmy. My phone kind of went sideways, and so the picture on Zoom was a picture of my stomach, my big stomach, and you had to look at that. So Jimmy quickly texted me going, dude, I think your phone fell. The only thing I can see is your stomach. Jimmy, I hope you don't have nightmares because of that.
No, it should be okay.
We'll do one more Cincinnati thing. This is not a Cincinnati talk show, but Trey Hendrickson reported the camp. That was kind of expected. I didn't know what day it was with the continuation of fines. Being fined $50,000 a day, they're allowed to do it. The Bengals are finding him. You know what? I don't know the percentage of times when a guy signs his contract, does he have to pay the fines? I believe from what I was told years ago that sometimes it still happens and sometimes it doesn't. Or you negotiate, well, we've agreed on X number, whatever. Why don't you add another $200,000 to it for the fines? I don't know the percentages. I know it's happened both ways. I wouldn't be surprised if he has to pay for it. Wouldn't be surprised because that's the Bengals' way of saying, hey, look, I was serious about this fine. You're making X. You're making X. So there's video out there. Trags, who did our show about a week or two ago, is really good with the Cincinnati stuff. If you like the Reds and Bengals, you need to follow them. And there's nice video of Hendrickson walking in. Jimmy, he looks like a brick you know what. He's got no stomach. He looks like he's in unbelievable shape. His stomach is half the size of mine, and he's got to be about 280 or something like that. Built like a brick you know what. And so he's there, and he's not going to practice, and apparently wasn't going to put on a uniform, and he wasn't going to practice, but sometimes guys kind of stand around, whatever. I don't know if he ended up putting on a jersey just to stand around or was just hanging out in real clothes. I'll find that out later, so just throw that. Last one that's just odd, and then we'll get into UK. It's 1,000,000 to 1, Jimmy, that you never heard. I've never heard of Buford High School in Georgia. If you have, I'm going to bow to you right now. Why am I mentioning Buford High School in Georgia? They just opened up a football stadium. Jimmy, can you believe a football stadium in Georgia? High school football stadium. Has 10,000 seats. And by the way, I've seen Texas football stadiums that have 10,000 seats or more. We're talking about high school. We're not talking about college. So I went, okay. Jimmy, it has 15 luxury boxes. It gets better. It's got a 3,500 square foot video scoreboard. It has a 2-story field house with locker rooms. Wow. By the way, did I mention the price? $62 million. There's some rich folks in there. Woo. That's unbelievable. That's past unbelievable. Is there a little Zach Calzada thing is? So if you want to say he's bounced around, okay. I could care less about that. Really. So he's gone to different schools. Big deal. That's part of today's society. That bothers anybody, I can't help you. But I'm looking at different things with him. As much as I really want Carter Bowley to be the quarterback, because I'm a fan of the family, you got to be fair to Zach Calzada. So he said he was about 205 when he joined the SEC. He's like 240. He said he ran a 4.8, and now he runs like a 4.6, okay? And the other thing I found interesting is he's become much more religious. He's much calmer. He always wanted to get back to the SEC, didn't know how he was going to do it, and credits God for helping him show the way, and that it didn't happen as quickly as it wanted. I'm feeling much better about my eye, and I'm 50-50. I really want to go to practice on Friday. They're opening up to media, and fan day is Saturday. And I just want to see him chunk the football. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything except watching somebody chunk the football. And you have to remember that I did the Bengals Radio Network for 14 years, and I would get there super, 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 super early, almost all the time, before anybody was on the field. And if somebody was on the field, it'd be like the kickers, or let's say guys that weren't going to play, but they got in a little workout, jogging around or that kind of stuff. I would say 99% of the time it was before the quarterbacks came on the field. And one of the things I enjoyed doing, the peacefulness of being up in the press box when you're one of the first people there, because the show was an hour and a half before the game, and with traffic and stuff like that, I would always want to get there a couple hours before the show, usually 2.5 hours before, because you don't want to get caught in that traffic. And I was up, so it's fine. And I would watch all these quarterbacks throw the ball. That doesn't mean you're going to be a great quarterback how you throw the ball, and some of them were amazing. I mean, really amazing, sticking out like crazy. I'll never forget watching Favre, and they're not throwing, especially when he's a starter, he's not throwing at 100 miles an hour. But, the flick of the wrist, Jimmy, and he's throwing at 60, 65 yards. Now, it was higher than normal, but he's throwing a low punt, 60, just loosening the arms up. And you can just watch a guy throw a ball, and you can tell certain things about their physical strength. I've done it long enough you can do it. Now, how that translates to the field doesn't have to be anything, but it's something to see. And so I'm assuming, Joe Burrow just said, best I've thrown in several years, talking about his training camp. That's Trags just put up a Twitter. Interesting. I'm assuming that Calzada's arm is more than NFL ready. And by the way, there are plenty of guys who are NFL ready with their arms who don't make it for various reasons. But that's one of the things that I want to see. So calmer, more mature, really strong, with plenty of faith. So I'm looking forward to watching. And Bowley too, because I don't know how much weight he put on. I'm assuming it's a bunch. And I'm assuming he's a bunch stronger, just normal process of just being a year older and that kind of stuff, and a year further away from high school and stuff like that. So I'm very curious about that. Very, very curious. I didn't get into the UK football and basketball stuff I wanted because I was so ticked off from the Reds. Jimmy, have you ever seen me this ticked off at the Reds?
Not at the Reds, no. That was a pretty strong rant. That's a 15-minute Reds rant.
In my head, I was going to do about 5 minutes. In my head. I think most people listen to the show, which I say, thank you, understand. I just go. Whew. Putting up a guy with 14 RBIs in over 250 at-bats to pinch hit for a guy who just hit a home run. It's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. Tito gets stuck on people. He does. He has favorites. And I think part of it is to, look, he was an extra player. Everybody knows that. Okay? And I think he can relate to the extra player who hustles and wants to do well and can feel for him. And I think at times, and I thought this before he came to Cincinnati, just from watching him, I think that affects some of the moves. I do. A little bit, I'm okay. But to have Espinal, who stinks as a hitter and never drives and runs, pinch hit for a guy who hit a home run, and you're playing the Dodgers, it's bad. It's bad. I'll tell you what's great. I'll tell you what's really great. The Quantrell Auto Group. Quantrell Subaru. Quantrell Volvo. Quantrell Cadillac. I trust the Quantrell Group. I trust them. We've purchased 2 cars from them. They've been taking care of people in central Kentucky for what seems like forever. Their service on your car is expert. 60 years. Check them out. Quantrell Volvo. We drove one about a month ago. It's really smooth. The Cadillac, the American symbol of elegant horsepower. The Subaru. When I think of Subaru, I think of, the commercials you've seen in the mountains, because I know people who use them in the mountains, and the durability and how it can go anywhere, and it's really good and that kind of stuff. They've got them all. Plus, check out the used car selection. Subaru, Cadillac, Volvo, the Quantrell family. Check them out. I trust them. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. Gene Abel coming up next. Van Hiles at 1 o'clock. 92.5 FM, 1300 AM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. I know what you're thinking, and the answer is yes, you definitely need a new car. It's Alan Cutler, and if you're going to be on the road, you deserve the legendary comfort and power of Cadillac from the Quantrell family. And whether it's finding a brand new Cadillac or service over the life of your vehicle, Lexington, you can trust your experience is always fast and friendly. Cadillac is the American symbol of elegant horsepower. Drive one and find out why. At Quantrell, you'll never be disappointed. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com today.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ITM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just a machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
It's summertime, and that means it's time to hit the road.
Whether you're heading across town or across the state, going on a picnic, to a baseball game, or driving to the lake, stop by, fill up, and stock up at Clark's Pump and Shop, your road trip headquarters.
Clark's Pump and Shop has everything you need to get you to your summertime destination, including Old Trapper Jerky 4-ounce bags for $8.99 and Icebreaker bottle pack gum for $3.50.
Clark's Pump and Shop, return, refresh, refuel.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcast podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
I say how close we are off the court. Like, every day we're doing something outside of basketball, so that means a lot. Like, building that team chemistry off the floor is going to lead to wins on the floor. That's how I look at it.
Anything that you like to do most when you're not hooping?
Just going out with the guys, like going get some food, go shopping, going to eat. It's pretty fun. Just the normal stuff, casual.
I guess guys like to go shopping a lot more because they got money. Jimmy, how much shopping did you do in college?
No, not a whole lot.
You know what we used to do? Probably shouldn't say this, but there were plenty of Fridays we would literally put our change together. I'm serious. And a six-pack, I'm not plugging for them. I don't even know if it's sold around here. I don't think it is, but I don't have any idea. There was a cheap beer called Schmitz. It was 99 cents a six-pack. And I can tell you, there were Fridays, Jimmy and I, where, hey, I got 50 cents. What do you got? Let me see. Seriously, that's right. I don't think my experience in college was different from many others, right?
Back when you could scrounge around change for either a six-pack or like 4 cheeseburgers at McDonald's with change that you found?
See, I didn't really do that because I stayed with the food program was actually very abundant and very good. Did you ever sneak food out of the cafeteria?
Oh, yeah. We never bought milk because we would bring in water jugs so we could have cereal in our dorm. We never bought milk. It wouldn't stay good that long. But, oh, yeah, we would figure out ways to get any kind of food we could from the dining hall.
Once a week, they had steak. Not steak that you'd find at great restaurants, but actually, considering college and that stuff, it was cooked pretty good. They had a good cook. It was pretty good. And I had this old overcoat with deep pockets. And we would wrap up sometimes 10 or 12 steaks. And it was so cold in the wintertime where people know that Syracuse is cold. I went to school pretty close by, about 45 minutes away in Cortland, and it was cold there. And we'd put the steaks on the windowsill. And it was cold, and they would stay fresh. The problem is everybody around me knew about it, so I would at least get about 2. And then they would it was like, okay, we'll have it for breakfast the next day. Never lasted for breakfast the next day. And it was amazing how deep the pockets were, and then other people would take 1 or 2 also. It's what you did in college. But the thought of shopping, God bless him. Braden Hawthorne, excuse me. As I'm swallowing my green tea and talking, that's not a smart thing to do. And I'm excited about watching him play from all the reports and stuff like that. I'm not ready to say he's Tayshaun Prince-like. I want to see that first. Some of those comparisons are not fair to these kids. I tell you who's been a fair guy his whole career, Gene Abel, long-time, now retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald Leader. Gene, how are you?
Good, doing great, Alan. How are you doing?
Good. I'm not going to go over it again. I don't know if you heard it, but I went nuts on the Reds today. Look, I just have to say this part, and I'm curious your opinion. We're going to move on. The fact that Tito's the manager, I think is great. I'm really excited about it. He's a Hall of Famer as a person and as a manager. There's no question about it. Everybody knows that. So with Hal McCoy, I questioned a bunch of things yesterday. But what he did last night, oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. It was driving me out of my mind. Espinal with 14 RBIs and 266 bats. He pinches in him for Fraley. We had a home run. And Marte, who should be a DH and not bat ninth, he should never be in the field. And he should bat 6, so you don't have to double switch him. They put Espinal at third base, and now the 2 guys who had home runs are out of the game. And Ellie drops a relay where he had a shot at getting a guy out at home plate, which really basically cost him the game. And he's not a shortstop, and he booted the ball earlier at shortstop. This stuff drives me crazy. I'm trying to think of the logic. You have 14 RBIs for the season and 266 at-bats, and you now pinch it for a guy who had a home run last time out.
Well, that was a lefty-righty situation, which I know you're going to disagree with, and I had a question that moved too. Tito has been doing that all year. I mean, there was a game like 2 months ago where he put Espinal in a situation like that, and afterwards he said in that situation Espinal is one of his best hitters, which people sort of went crazy about. But he has been all year makes substitutions around 7th or 8th inning defensive that if they lose the lead, which they did last night, impacts their offense negatively when they come back around. Now, that's one of those things that if you win the game, nobody even pays that much attention to. Ashcraft does his job. That's a non-factor last night. they were a bad defensive team that started that game without Frito playing. Without Frito, I think he was on leave. You don't have him in center field. They were just Marte is terrible on defense. I can understand Marte wanted DH, but Lux is not very good on defense either, which you saw in left field. But Tito's been doing that all year, and whether you like it or not, it's who he is. And whether he did it in Cleveland, I really don't know. You know, he has this thing where if the Reds are ahead in the eighth and they go to the bottom of the ninth or bottom of the eighth and score a few extra runs, and he's already warming up his closer, he puts the closer in, goes ahead and puts the closer in because he thinks that he's warmed up, he's wasting his arm if he doesn't put him in. A lot of people disagree with that. I actually like that move, but he does some things that aren't conventional. I'm not an Espinal fan. Fraley, I don't know how many bats Fraley has against left-handers. I assume that's why he did it. Marte and the DH, what they're trying to do with Marte is get him to the outfield because they're trying to make a trade for a third baseman, and they're trying to figure out what to do with Marte. Lux has struggled. He is bad defensively in the outfield. That was not a good outfield they had defensively last night.
I agree with a lot of that. By the way, I do know the lefty-righty thing, and I'm for that if the righty you bring in is actually really good. Okay, so when you're this bad, 14 RBIs and 266 at-bats, you don't do it. Now, if let's say Espinal was batting 380 against righties and 129 or 195 or 205 against lefties and driven a bunch of runs, then if it doesn't work, okay.
And
Yeah, I get that. And by the way, if I remember right, I don't have it in front of me. Fraley has not been good. I think he's been terrible against lefties. And Jimmy, if you can help me out with that. So, I mean, that fuels his comment. As I recall, pardon me if I'm wrong, he's terrible against lefty batters, but the guy just hit a home run, and now you're putting in a guy who's just terrible anyway. So if Espinal was really good in the lefty-righty, I would actually accept that. But that's me.
And Fraley has been, I think the numbers will tell you this, his last 2 weeks have been about as hot as he's been all year.
Yes.
I would not agree with that move at the time, but that is what Tito has been doing all year. And they have had several situations where he made those moves. They lost the lead because of a bullpen without much depth, which is everybody agrees the Reds' problem is they need a number 4 hitter and they need more depth in the bullpen. But they lose the lead, they come back around offensively, and all of a sudden you get the poorer hitter now in the game, and that cost them last night. And it's a very legitimate, I think it's a legitimate criticism, but it is what Tito has done most of the year.
Okay, and I'm with you on that, and I've seen that, but when a guy has 14 RBIs and 266 at-bats, you just don't do it. That's all. We'll leave it at that. I feel can you imagine I'm doing all this on the Reds starting out instead of UK football or basketball? It is and every pitch you can hear on 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. I'm about to have a great crowd
they are
tonight.
They are in the race, and it makes it more interesting.
Yes.
And they need to win tonight. If they're the only team that hasn't been swept all year, and to lose tonight, that changes.
It does. And Shohei's on the mound. They're guessing 4 innings, and he struck out 3 times against Lodolo, 4 overall. And in one of the strikeouts, his eyes were so big, it was just absolutely unbelievable.
That was a great picture.
It was like he was freaking out. And the funny part is, he's a guy that always looks very calm. So I think that amplified that look. If he was the guy that had big eyes or that kind of stuff, it still would have been a funny picture. But this is a guy, he seems to be, when you see his face, pretty expressionless in everything he does. Hits a home run, goes around and whatever. And so I thought that amplified it tremendously.
Yeah, he almost had a look of like, I just can't hit this guy's stuff tonight.
Either that or I can't believe what I just saw, and I can't believe I can't touch it. It's something along those lines. By the way, I'm not ready to say he's the greatest player in the history of baseball, and not because he's from Japan or anything like that. I don't give you know me well enough. I don't give a you-know-what about that. But do you know how many records that Babe Ruth still holds as a pitcher? I looked this up. I have to tell you.
I have no idea, but
okay.
Go ahead.
No, and some of them I honestly knew, and some of them it was literally kind of.
Did you see him pitch? I'm sorry.
No, that was just a little before I started covering sports on TV.
Okay.
I want that
didn't
clear. In World Series, his ERA was .87, less than 1. Okay. In 1916, he won the American League as a pitcher, ERA with an ERA of 1.75. He was 94-46 as a pitcher, ERA at 2.28. He threw 107 complete games. Now, I want you to think about this, Gene. 17 shutouts. He pitched over 1,200 innings. So, it's really brushed aside that, yeah, he pitched early on, but he pitched over 1,200 innings. Now, this record was broken. I actually was watching it at the time. Whitey Ford broke his record for most consecutive innings in the World Series without giving up a run. I actually was watching it.
Was there, I should know this, was there an overlap at the time where he did both?
Yeah.
But how many years was that?
He did it in, I don't know the number, but it was a number of years with the Red Sox.
And when he stopped the pitching, was it an injury, or they just decided he needed to focus on the hitting?
It was not an injury, that I can tell you. And I should know exact reason why and when, being the history guy that I am, and I'm failing you horribly on that. I mean, but I'm not ready to say.
I can't imagine why somebody stopped pitching somebody with those kind of numbers. That's unreal.
Yeah, again, I don't know, but I wonder if the body says at a certain point you can't do that. I mean, it's that part with Shohei is amazing what he's doing, and with his surgeries, they're handling him like kid gloves, which is smart. Oh, by the way, he still has Babe Ruth as a batter, still has the highest slugging percentage in the history of baseball. Some guy named Barry Bonds and Mike Trout are kind of close. And his on-base percentage and slugging is still number one in the history of baseball. And he led the major leagues in home runs 12 times. And I will say this in defense of anybody who wants to talk about this, he never played against the great African Americans. And there were some unbelievable players in the old Negro Leagues. By the way, one of the things, I don't know if you've ever done it, if you're in Kansas City, go to the Negro Hall of Fame. And by the way, that's what they call it. So don't send cards and letters and that kind of, you know how people are sensitive about stuff.
That'd be a great place to visit.
I did. It's in the same complex. The Negro Hall of Fame is kind of the right size, and the Jazz Museum is in the same complex. So you're talking about a lovely afternoon.
Did you do both?
Yeah, absolutely. I love jazz music and the old jazz and stuff like that. And actually, they had more stuff from music than they had from the old Negro Leagues and stuff like that. The only thing that disappointed me, I was hoping to see more things than they had, and I know they scoured it like crazy, and some of the stuff was coming. There were some great black newspapers back then. Pittsburgh had one, New York had one, and so they got what they got. The only thing that really disturbed me, and I have one, it's in my cupboard that I use all the time. I was hoping to have more choices for T-shirts and coffee cups and stuff like. It was a very tiny section of things to purchase. It really shocked me. I mean, I was expecting something huge and to go away with 3 or 4 things and a couple T-shirts and stuff like that. T-shirts didn't do anything for me. I do have a hat from the old. They were Cubanos, or was it Cubans or Cubanos? I think it was Cubanos. I have the hat. I wear it occasionally. Neither here nor there. I'm just not ready to say Shohei is the greatest player of all time.
No, it's too early to do that to begin with.
Yeah, and you know what? The way he trains and sleeps, he's a big sleeper. Right. I don't know how he does it. He sleeps like 12 hours a night. How do you do that? I can't get 4 hours consecutively. I don't know about you. We're not going there.
It'd be too nice to get there.
Yeah, we should change the topic quickly.
Yes, we should.
Although, guess what? I got a clean bill of health today, and I'm saying this not to brag on me. I'm saying this because I don't want to mention the person's name for a particular reason, but somebody you know well, and I know well in the media, who we lost in the last year or so because he didn't get checked up enough. And so I will sometimes mention, you need to get checked. You need to get checked. And by the time something was discovered, it can be too late. And he's no longer with us. He's a really good dude. The point is this, I just had my prostate checked out, I had my kidney checked out, whatever, and I came through with flying colors, and I'm concerned about it every year. And I think everybody should get checked. Get checked. Gene, we're on to something else. I'm a hypochondriac at 72. I'm the first to admit it. Because if you have a little problem, probably nothing. But suppose it isn't, and you have to be aggressive. So everybody out there, and by the way, you don't have to be 72. I mean, people should start getting stuff unless you feel something is going on. When you're 40, you should be getting tests all the time. But that's me. Enough of that stuff. All right. Football. How hyped are you with this? Am I getting sucked in? I'm not. Look, do I think they're going to be talent-wise much better? I do. Is it going to be good enough? I got no clue. But Stoops the other day talked about there are 8 guys that could start on the offensive line, interchangeable parts. And there's no question, these are much bigger, stronger men. And then he put pressure, as he put it, on his strength staff, who he says he really likes, but he put pressure on them. And I think they've done a very, 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 very nice job acquiring talent. For example, I think the running backs could be much better than people think. But there's not a lot of knowledge, so people have the we don't know. The question is, will it be good enough? So I'm trying to be careful. And let's put it this way. I think this year's team could beat last year's team. No question about it. I don't know if it's going to be good enough.
I'm sticking with the wait and see. Eight people that could start, but is that 8 out of is that 8 quality players? I mean, I don't know if that's because that mean they have really good depth, or they're not real strong to begin with. I do agree with the running backs. I think that could be a pretty solid position for them. I need to see it from the offensive line. I mean, I've heard some of the kids that transferred in weren't quite strong enough or stronger than they thought they would be. I think that is a huge key, but I think they got questions all over the field. And Stoops does seem really pumped up. That's a good thing. I'm glad to see that. And because of the portal and 51 new players, it's almost impossible to know if they're very good. But who's the face of this team? What player or 2 players? Who are the guys?
It's a good point, because I think part of it has to do is, for example, suppose Zach Calzada becomes a star. Okay, could he become a face of the team? Yes.
Yes.
But Willie, I don't know. And I think and I mentioned it on top of the show, and I've mentioned it before, but, this is a kid that, got to the SEC at 205 pounds. He's now 240. He was running a 4.8. He runs a 4.6. He's a big kid, Gene. He's a big, strong kid with a big-time arm. I don't know how accurate it is, with a big-time arm, and he's become religious. He's become calmer. He's older. He's 24, 25. I always forget which one it is. So he should be a lot more mature. I'm excited to see him play. I think I'm going to go to practice on Friday. I'm still not sure with my eye. But I want to see him throw the football. That doesn't mean you're going to be a great quarterback because you can throw the ball 90 miles an hour, whatever the heck it is. But I really want to see him and Cutter Boley, and I want to see what Cutter looks like, because obviously he's had to have filled out a lot.
Yes. And I want to wait and see what happens. I mean, I think he could be a good quarterback. He was fairly decent in the SEC previously. The last 2 years, he was, where was he, in Incarnate? Is that what it was? He put up big numbers there. We'll see if that carries over. I hope it does. I'm excited for football to start, because it's a great time of year, and I love that time of year, and I love college football. I need to see what happens with them.
And they're putting pads on today.
That's correct. It's ready to go, and that's good. That's always a good time of year.
Are you like me? When the first day of putting pads on, I always go, okay. I get a little juice, because I do love football. The sad part is this summer went by too quick, as it usually does, and it wasn't a fun summer for me, so it's kind of like almost over. That's just life and cycles and 4 seasons and all that good stuff. But no, I mean, the only saving grace is if they beat Toledo. Old Miss, I don't believe, is going to start the season as good as they were last year. So, I'm not saying they're going to be 2-0, but Gene, I guarantee you, if they're 2-0, there'll be people saying, "Say you guys weren't fans and you didn't believe, and I knew all along." I love when that stuff comes out.
And I hope they are. That'd be great. And it'd be great to see them get it going back in the right direction. I'm at a point of I want to see it. Obviously, as we talked about, they have to win that first. Toledo's a big game, and I think I've seen some things of Toledo rated higher than Kentucky.
That I haven't seen. I need to go look at lists. I believe you on that. And they're picked to win the MAC. I've seen it in a couple different places, and that's fine. And look, I've said this, and I'm not backing down. With every positive thing I say, they lose to Toledo. I think it's the biggest game of Stoops' career, because you do that, and you're down, you lose to Ole Miss, you're 0-2, and you look at the schedule, and this thing could crumble. Do I think they've fixed a lot of attitudes? Yes. Do I think the attitudes can be Shaky? Yes. Yes.
I expect the attitudes to be better. My issue is the talent there to win in the league they're in.
Well, okay, let me explain this a little further. The way I said it was not proper. I meant what I said. In other words, do I think the attitudes are better? Yes. Do I think the confidence is better? I do, by the way. But if you lose the first two games, what I didn't communicate properly, I think a lot of that just goes right out the window, and then it becomes shaky. It's not like, an Alabama team or a Georgia team that can dig down deeper based upon so many layers in history. So pardon me for not explaining. Yet Momentum, the same thing too. They're 2-0 and they start winning and stuff like that. They could maybe think they're better than they really are, which at times in sports could be a beautiful thing.
If they're 2-0, everybody has to change their outlook, and the momentum's on their side. And I've been for a long time a big fan of Brad White's. They haven't been as good the last year or two as I thought defensively, but I think he's one heck of a football coach. I don't know that he has some of the talent he's had, but I think that Brad White can make this a very competitive defense. I want to see a better offense. I wonder about the receivers, the depth, with the quality of the top and the depth. But we'll see.
I'm sure you saw the quote from Bush Hampton, and I would love to have known Stoops' reaction afterwards, where he said, "This offensive line is going to remind us of the great offensive lines we've had here." Bush Hampton. Now, I like it, but now you work for a man who plays it close to the vest, the same man who told the three players he thought he brought to the SEC Media Day, just be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. And does he feel the same way about his offensive coordinator? Does he applaud it? Does he probably say, "Dude, I wish you didn't say that"? What's their relationship like? I love it. And the guys in the team have to absolutely love it. But I certainly wasn't expecting it. I'm good that he said it.
I think I was personally fine with me to say it. I'm not sure what he knows comparison wise to really say that, but that's fine that he said it. And I doubt that it upset Stoops. But I mean, obviously that is a huge question mark and key issue for this team. I mean, if that goes, it doesn't have to go back to where it was, in the big blue wall days, but if it's better than it was the last 2 years, they obviously can be a much better football team. And like I said, I agree with you. I don't know if the running backs are great, but I think there's a chance they got a pretty good stable of running backs.
Yeah, I think that's good. Stable running backs. I just think they're going to be better than people think because people don't know about them. And when you've been losing, there's a negativity. Oh, the kid can't be that good. I don't know that much about him. That's all.
But they're not going to run in this league if they don't at least establish a passing game. It's just not happening in the SEC.
And they're going to run left a lot behind Braun and Pete.
Right.
Look, Braun was a legitimate, wonderful offensive lineman for Arkansas, and he's here. And I know it's New Mexico State, but I'll be shocked with the kind of person he is and the way he is physically if Pete isn't a wonderful offensive lineman. And Jagger Burton, who has struggled, is now different. Just take a look at him. I mean, he looks like a totally different human being, and I think he's ready to play really good center. And Stoops was bragging on Jalen Farmer, who did okay last year on a bad offensive line, but a year can make a difference. I don't know. We'll see about how much bigger, physical, and stronger he is. So I don't know. But it's the talking season. It's the talking season.
And have you ever, in your career, not seen a lot of optimism heading into a UK football season? And that's been the story of most of our life.
Yeah, true. That's true. But I remember when Jerry
Claiborne.
Claiborne.
Good. It should be that way.
But when Jerry Claiborne took over, and they didn't win a game that year with the wide tackle 6, but they played hard, and he really established something. I don't think anyone that year, I don't know what made me think of that, anybody thought that they were going to go to a bowl game. He was just trying to establish that, the toughness and kids and stuff like that. And it's amazing how many of those kids who are now, not that far in age from us, have been very successful in life who played for Claiborne. So, I don't know why.
That was a culture change unlike very few I have ever seen.
That's a better way of putting it. It's an absolute better way of putting it. I got to ask you about Luka. And I mentioned this the other day, and I got to ask you about Mark Cuban. If Mark Cuban is the person who I think he is, and you don't know, but I've seen a lot of interviews, and come on, you can be fooled, as you know all too well, by somebody's public comments and how they are privately. Who knows? I bet part of him he's happy for Luka, and part of him he is one ticked off dude because I know, and people know this is not breaking news. He tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to get into Luka's head to do anything he can to have him lose weight, get in shape, eating right. Tried for years, and I will always believe that there's no way he gets traded if he looks like he did now. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. There's a weightlifting picture of him. He's skinny. I mean, he's not thin because he's a thick, big man, but he is skinny and he is ripped. And I'm serious. I'm going to guess the man's lost 50 pounds because sometimes, as you know, when you're 6'8", you carry more weight than is often realized.
Right.
And let's put it this way. He didn't lose 30. I'm an expert on losing weight. I'm a bigger expert on gaining weight. But Gene raises his hands. But you take a look at him. I mean, he's defined and ripped and not thick ripped. And I bet Cuban's just driving himself crazy. That whole trade never happens if he looks like this.
It's impossible to disagree with that. What suddenly changed to make him do this? I mean, he doesn't look like the same person.
No, I don't know. He's going to get asked that, have no clue.
How old is he?
Oh boy, 25, 26. He's still very. I think I'll need to look it up. He's been around forever. I mean, forever. I don't know. Sometimes somebody can tell you something and then the light bulb goes on. And for example, he recruited Smart to come to the team. Yep. Marcus Smart, a very good defensive player who might be past his prime and is injury prone and sometimes just jacks up shots that he shouldn't. But his toughness is good. But sometimes he gives it away with what I think at times a bad attitude on the court. But neither here nor there. But he recruited him. LeBron James ain't recruiting guys to Los Angeles anymore. They don't listen to LeBron like they used to. And I don't know if because Luka knows it's his team. I don't know if because he's in Hollywood. I have no idea. But something changed drastically. And the fact that he didn't even touch a ball for 30 days. And that doesn't sound like much. But there are guys, believe it or not, with all the money they make, they love having the ball in their hands. And they love shooting and practicing and goofing around and stuff like that, whether you're fat or not. And one of the stories I saw, he said how tough it was for him not to touch a ball for 30 days because they concentrating on training that much and obviously changed his diet and stuff like that. I mean, I envision he was eating fast food like crazy and this, that, and the other. He had to be.
It's going to be fun to see how that transforms into his game. If he's much better, that's pretty scary.
I think he's going to be much better. And I think he was a walking time bomb to get hurt with ankles and knees and stuff like that as he was getting hurt a lot because of the weight and the pounding that you put on your body and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, it's a long time before the NBA season, and I'm not saying the Lakers are going to win it all, but I'm going to say it's going to be totally different.
Do you think there's any way LeBron impacted that? Because nobody's taking better care of their body than LeBron.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. LeBron, I've seen number of stories where he has spent like a couple of $1 million a year on being healthy. He's got one of those chambers.
I don't doubt that. I mean, it's scary looking at him.
Yeah.
He almost looks better than you did.
Well,
I don't want to get carried away.
I want to question your eyesight at times.
Okay.
All right, last one or two quick things. One, do you think the Reds are going to make a move? Because I don't, and I hope I'm wrong.
I don't know. Apparently, they've been pretty close on a couple of moves. I guess third base. I mean, their hope was to fill third base, move Marte to the outfield. They got to be careful who they give up, and especially if it's a rental player, because they have 2 or 3 players who are really prospects. I don't want to see them give up Stewart. I really like him. I assume that Petty will be in any deal, but I mean, their history shows they probably won't make a move. So, but I do think they're trying, and I don't think they don't need to make a move just to do it.
I agree with that too. I think Stewart is obviously, like a lot of people, the next third baseman, and I really like his background, how he's trained, his mentor from San Diego. And how he's doing, I mean, look, you never know about prospects. We all know that, but I think he possibly could be the third baseman for a long time. And so, for example, they weren't going to spend the money to get Ryan McMahon anyway, because the Yankees got to pay $16 million for a couple of years further down the road, and the Reds are too cheap to do it in that position. But it really wouldn't have made any sense because you have Stewart, who should be the third baseman next year, if not sooner, if he keeps on hitting and if he goes on a ridiculous tear in Louisville. So I don't see spending a lot of money on that. At least
I think their
don't.
overall roster is closer to being really competitive, not just now, but moving forward than it's been in a long time.
I don't disagree. Anything in the world of sports that's on your mind that we didn't talk about that you want to rant before we say goodbye? And I say thank you.
Thank you. No more. I don't have anything to rant about, Alan. Tito will manage tonight, and we can rant again tomorrow. But no, everyth's good.
And tell everybody how the retired sports editor, the Lexington Herald leader, can be found on Twitter.
Just at Gene Abel, GeneAbell.
Appreciate your time, brother.
All right, you too. Take care, man.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Gene Abel, always a fun conversation, low-key conversation, but a fun conversation. It's good stuff. We went over a lot of different topics, yes?
Yeah, he kind of covered the whole gamut on that.
Yeah. And I like how he defended Tito. I really do. Doesn't change my rant, doesn't change my feelings, and I'm open-minded to have my feeling changed. And I get the lefty-righty thing. Gene gets it, you get it, I get it, and I'm standing by this. Had Espinal been a guy who, let's say, I'm not talking about 60 RBIs and 255 at-bats, but let's say he had 8 home runs and I'll give you a low number, nothing that would be very impressive, 32, 34 RBIs. No matter what happened, would I have been upset? No. But if a guy has 14 RBIs and over 250 at-bats and you're pinch hitting because it's a lefty-righty thing for a guy just hit a home run, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If your book is lefty-righty, I respect it, but it's not everything in the book. When you have a guy that's that horrendous as a hitter, you don't do it. You just don't do it. I need to stop talking about the Reds today, don't you think?
Yeah, I was looking up Fraley's splits right versus left. I think he only has 10 at-bats this year against lefties. He just doesn't hit versus lefties. Espinal hits 289 versus lefties to Fraley's, I think, 163.
By the way, I didn't know those numbers. Doesn't surprise me. As I recall, his previous numbers against lefties before this year were horrendous, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay? And the 263 is nice, but he doesn't drive in any runs.
Yeah.
So I would rather take my chance with a guy who, feels good about himself because he hit a home run. And a lot of managing is a feel thing, which, by the way, I respect Tito tremendously. I'm so glad he's in Cincinnati. But we do know everybody makes mistakes. And I got the feeling now a couple people on Twitter like, how dare you criticize? I'm sorry, everybody has a bad day. There are people in the Hall of Fame who make mistakes, yes?
Yeah, probably a couple.
Yeah. I wouldn't know anything about that. Van Hiles coming up next. Good old Van. Curious what he thinks about the hype season that's going on with Kentucky football. I'm sure he will be so shy with his takes. Very, very, very shy. Give you a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to guess he's going to be more positive than many people think. What do you think?
I think so. Van seems like he seems more of an optimistic fan than a pessimistic fan.
I buy that. Terry Page, she's optimistic that she can help you. Terry's big, beautiful deal. A great licensed massage therapist, as she says, she's been lucky and blessed to help ease or eliminate pain from folks for over the last 25 years. I can testify to be on that list firsthand. Book an appointment now, $5 off. Schedule your next appointment before you leave, and $10 off all the following appointments you make in succession in Butler, Kentucky, and also here in Lexington. First part of the week in Butler, last part of the week in Lexington. Call or text 859-373-0578. Call or text 859-373-0578. Thank you, Gene. Appreciate you. Van Hiles coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
It's summertime, and that means it's time to hit the road. Whether you're heading across town or across the state, going on a picnic, to a baseball game, or driving to the lake, stop by, fill up, and stock up at Clark's Pump and Shop, your road trip headquarters.
Clark's Pump and Shop has everything you need to get you to your summertime destination, including assorted Hershey's, Reese's, or Kit Kat standard-sized candy bars, 2 for $2, and Uncle Ray's potato chips, 3-ounce bags for $1.99.
Clark's Pump and Shop, return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Remember, your next Volvo is right down the road at Quantrill Volvo. With every Volvo model, legendary safety meets exceptional design. Luxury can only take you so far unless you're in a Volvo. So, as vacations and staycations call this summer, you know your experience will be fast and friendly with no gimmicks at Quantrill. That's a family-owned difference. From new and used Volvos to expert service for 60 years. For everything Volvo, it's got to be Quantrill Volvo. Visit QuantrillVolvo.com, QuantrillVolvo.com.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ITM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just a machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
I promise you, we're going to have a team that you're proud of. We've worked really hard. I'm very confident in this group. We have an unbelievable challenge in front of us. We embrace that. You know, I've told them all, I've told the media, I've told the team, bring it on. You know, we have a very tough schedule. We're going to take it one day at a time, one game at a time. We tee it up this week. Our players report on Tuesday, our first practice is on Wednesday, and I can't wait.
Pads are on. I popped my pee on purpose. Pads are on. Van Hiles, you got your helmet? You ready to strap it on, brother? You ready to get out on the field? Because pads are on today for practice. How excited are you? You get your juices flowing. Is today a day when you know practice starts for real? You're going, let's bring it on.
No, these kids live the country club life now with practice. There's no 2-a-days, 3-hour practices anymore. These guys are, helmets on don't mean anything anymore. I'm just joking. I'm not gonna be the old guy that does it to the young ones. No, man, this is the best day for a football player because this is the only day from now until December where you will not be sore. You coming in, this is the freshest you will ever feel. This is the lighter your legs will ever feel. This is the best day of your football career for the season because you know that this is the first day that I can really bring it and hit somebody for the first time in a long time. It's a great day for a football player.
So you're juiced up just now starting to talk about it.
Yeah, there's something about the first day of pass that really signifies that football season really starts. All that shorts and shoulders and all that stuff means nothing. I've seen some great players in t-shirts and shorts, but once you put that 4, 5, 6 pounds of plastic on, people are different. So yeah, this is a day where you really start to realize whom are going to be your real players for your season and whom were fake guys with no pads and going across the middle and all that stuff.
You got a smile on your face. You're talking about it. I got to interrupt you for a second. Zach Hagan, who did the show the other day, just put an article up on KSR coming from Jack Pilgrim. Give them both credit that Colin Chandler missed some time during summer camp for what they are calling a minor injury, but he returned back to practice. And there's an old quote in there talking about how Pope said how hungry he is. And I think this kid is going to have a fine sophomore season, and he'll be bigger and stronger, obviously, because he's away from being away for 2 years and can lift weights and all that kind of stuff. And I think the kid has a lot of potential. That's breaking news. Give the KSR troops some credit on that. Back to Van Hyle. So let me throw this at you, Van. You ready? Did you see the quote about the offensive line?
Yes, from Bush.
Okay, so let me repeat it. This offensive line is going to remind us of the great offensive lines we've had here, Hamden said at the UK luncheon to Tom Leach. How about that? You buy it? Is it hype? Now, before you answer, here's the thing I'm putting in your cranium. So Stoops is Mr. Low-Key, although he's coming out now and showing some excitement and all that kind of stuff, and that's cool, and you got to do it. But that's neither here nor there. He can do anything he wants. 9 million a year, you don't need to listen to me. Smart not to listen to me. That's not the point. So you're a low-key guy, and now, you got 2 top lieutenants. You got Brad White, you got Bush Hamden. Those are his 2 top lieutenants. 2 guys are making 7 figures a year. And everybody's got their own personality. And I wonder, let me finish this, and I want you to go. I heard you got to turn the mic off when you do that. Now the mic is off.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. No,
sorry, Jimmy.
How about apologizing to me?
No. I am mad at you, Mr. Cutler.
Well, go ahead.
You cut me off for some basketball news on the first day of pads.
Well, but this is breaking news. Breaking news is breaking.
You don't cut me off for some basketball stuff.
Wait a second, Van. News is news.
No.
No. I never knew you. I knew you were very sensitive. I'm equal opportunity with all sports. Look, I'm a newsman for 1,000 years. Breaking news is breaking news.
Right.
And now let me tell you something. If I was talking basketball and let's say Stoops had just said that, now Stoops said the other day, if the season started tomorrow, Zach Calzada would take the first snap, which makes perfect sense. That doesn't mean he's going to be a starting quarterback at the first of the season, or we're expecting it. That's fine. But if he came out and somewhere said Zach Calzada is starting game number 1, and I was talking about basketball, I would stop. Breaking news is breaking news. Dude, I reported for decades and decades and decades. You owe me an apology.
You can't cut me off for basketball news. I was about to say the most intelligent thing I've ever said in my life, and you cut me off because Chandler is healthy. He missed some preseason, or not even preseason, some summer workouts,
and now he missed the scrimmage too.
Huh?
That's big news in the state, dude. Now wait a second. Now the pressure's on you. Here's where the pressure is. You're going to say the most intelligent thing you've ever said, so let's hear it. And don't tell me you can't. No. Don't tell me the moment is fleeting. I don't want to hear that, Van Hyle, former Studley DB for Kentucky. Give me this brilliance you were about to partake and emanate across our airways across the world.
It is going to be interesting about this O-line because as a coach who wants to play a certain way, which to me, I don't care. There's too many fans that want us to play a certain way, and it doesn't matter. Winning football is winning football, period. It doesn't matter. But for him to come out and when you don't say a lot, and the way he said it and the tone he said it, and for Bush to come and almost double down on it, for someone who might not have never coached our O-line back in the day, but he has seen the O-line when he was coaching at another institution within the conference. I think he has an idea of what that statement puts out for our fans. For them to say something like that makes me feel pretty good about the O-line. I'm not saying that they're going to be to that level, but for him to say that after what he endured last year as the OC, for him to even sniff those comments makes me feel pretty good that the O-line is going to be serviceable. And I'm going to say this. I have looked over the offensive plays 2 and 3-fold since the season. The O-line was not as bad as what people saying. Now, don't get me wrong. They were not good. What I'm saying is they were not as bad.
Are you kidding? Swiss cheese against Louisville. They played Ole.
Whoa. That's 1 out of 12. That's one, and that's the game after you're already 4-8, 4-7. Kids are going 1, 2, 3 Cancun. So let's not go off of that game. I'm gonna say this. I have rewatched. I am broadcasting all 12 games again for a passing game, and I looked at the entire game again within the last 2 weeks. That O-line was about a C- through the first 10 games. They were a C-. They were not an F like some people say. They were not that bad. They were a little below average. But for them to say that this offensive line is going to be better, and also Wolf has got his guys in, also you have some experience, also you have a chip on your shoulder, also Jagger might have found the position that he really should have been in a long time ago, just like Fortner transitioned to center and he excelled. Maybe putting him back at center, like when the Lakers got Rondo in the bubble, it puts everybody else at their proper role. I'm not saying they're going to be big blue wall, the ceiling of the big blue wall, but they might be the floor of the big blue wall, which is way better than what they were last year.
That's a great rant, but there's one word in particular I must strongly disagree with you.
Uh-oh.
When you said, and I quote, almost double down. Bush doubled down. That was a wimpy comment on your part. That was okay. You're not a wimpy guy.
You're right.
One of the things I really like about you, I hate saying something nice about you, at least looking at you, it's not good for my personality, is that not only are you really, really smart when it comes to football, you're no filter, but you saying almost double down is one of the worst comments I've ever heard you make. He unbelievably doubled down. That is the worst 3 words I've ever heard you say, and you've been gracious enough to give us time. Now, the rest of it, it's interesting. I respect you so much. If you're telling me that you give him a C-, I don't look at it the way you do. I'm not going to lie or make up anything. I didn't go back over the plays. I would disagree with that, but I respect you as a player and as a coach, and so I will accept that. But almost double down? You can now, in front of the airways across America and in many different countries, apologize for saying that.
That is fair. That's fair. You're right. I guess I was saying that.
Hold on. Wait a second. It was breaking up in my headphones. Did you just say you're right? Could you?
You were right. That's fair. I should have said Stoops didn't come out strongly. So the double down is, I'm gonna say Bush really came with a strong statement. If Stoops would have said the big blue wall is back, then I would have said double down. Stoops didn't come out strong enough with a statement. But I'm gonna say this as I'm thinking about it. As fans, you remember the bad plays, and some of the plays were atrocious. Like, it was bad.
Then how can you give it a C-? Then you give it a C-, and you got the word atrocious in there.
So if you here's the deal, if you have a test of 10 problems and you totally missed on one, and you got all the rest of the 9 right, that's a 90. That's an A. So just because
no. Wait, I'll let you continue your rant. I got to ask you a question.
Just because
no. I have to interrupt you.
Okay.
And then I want you to respond.
Okay.
This is not me just telling you you're wrong.
Okay.
Okay. There's a difference if I give you 10 math questions and you miss one. Hang on.
Okay. I'm listening.
If you miss one and it gets the quarterback sacked and it's a turnover and you lose the ball, that particular play is much worse. It's not 9 out of 10, although it is statistically, when it comes to importance, I could not humanly disagree with you more.
Okay.
You can say I'm right again now.
No, that's not right. As a guy who played quarterback, you are responsible for the most important thing in the game of football, that long shaped object. Just because someone blows by your center doesn't mean, the fumble is on him. You are taught to protect the ball, 2 hands on the ball until you release. So therefore, just because a guy, okay, so it's like a quarterback, right? Interception. He throws a bad interception, but the receiver tips it and it goes to the corner and he has a pick six. Everybody blames the quarterback, but it's not necessarily the quarterback's fault. So that's why football is the greatest team sport ever, because it requires everybody. So for me, there are plays the greatest comment Coach Rick Smith has ever given me when I was getting torched as a freshman at Kentucky when I first came in is, Van, remember those guys on the other side of the ball on scholarship too. And their coach wants them to beat you just as much as I want you to beat them. So they're going to win some plays. There are going to be some instances where the left tackle, right tackle is going to be beat by a great defensive end from a high-level SEC conference team. It's going to happen. Therefore, everybody else have to do their job, and hopefully the quarterback can protect the ball, maybe step up in the pocket and prevent that defensive end from doing what every defensive end wants to do on a passing down, which is create havoc.
All good points. I still say at times if it's the conduit to a big turnover, I don't agree with the 9 to 10. Your points about, the quarterback can hold on to the ball better. The quarterback can protect himself. Sometimes quarterbacks don't see anything. They're blindsided. We all know that. It is the unbelievable team sport. We still don't agree. I'm going to put you on the spot now. You ready?
Okay.
And I know how much you like Brad White.
Yes.
And I agree with you. Not that you care that I agree with you. Because
I'm going to change my opinion.
You don't even know what I'm going to say. Who was a better defensive coordinator?
Ooh.
Rick Smith,
Ooh.
who I have a ton of respect for as a human being and as a coach. And by the way, I have a ton of respect for Brad White. And before you answer, first of all, we're on YouTube now. Jimmy, I forgot. What's our address on YouTube? I can't see Jimmy. You might be out of the room.
ESPN Sports Radio 1300 AM.
You'd think I'd know that by now. I forget the 1300 AM. So if anybody's looking on, thank you, Jimmy, saving my you-know-what again. If anybody's watching us on YouTube, they can see your facial expressions and your contortion.
Tell me that.
Why did I have to tell you?
I got to come with better. I have to come up with makeup and everything. Come on, man.
Wait a second. Do you think I'm wearing makeup?
And then you got me. You. That's not right, Jimmy. I'm mad at you too. You could have emailed me and said, Van, we're gonna be live. Make sure you wear the right attire. I could have came with.
Wait a second. I'm wearing a T-shirt.
But I could have came with no shirt on.
Well, no, I would have said something to you. No, for 2 reasons. You know what the main reason is? Because I wouldn't want to look at it either.
All right, answer your question because you about to ask the hardest question I think I've gotten in my life.
Okay, and I'm, by the way, I say this out of respect, not to be mean. I really do, by the way. But I think it's fascinating. One, if you're 25 years old, this might be silly, and I'm not being degrading to anybody 25 years old. Actually, I'm jealous. But I wish I was 25 knowing what I know now, but the whole world is like that. But Rick Smith was a great defensive coordinator, and I'll always say at Hal Mumme kept him on the staff. Mumme's career here, I think, would have been totally different. Because quietly, he would have been in Mumme's ear about a few things that happened, and Mumme would have still been the offensive guru and stuff like that. Whatever. Who was a better defensive coordinator, Rick Smith or Brad White? And 2 men I have a ton of respect for. And if you pass on it, because I know you're tied towards Rick, and I respect that, I get that too. But he was really, 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 really good. Matter of fact, I always thought he got screwed because a lot of his career, he was coaching at losing programs. And I'm not being disrespectful to Kentucky or anybody, but you know this. Sometimes when you're in a trajectory of coaching and winning programs, you get hired quicker by winning programs. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's all the time. I am saying I've seen it, and you're nodding your head, that people can see on our YouTube page, which please subscribe if you're watching right now. Hopefully we have at least 2 people. We just started doing this. I just don't think he got enough respect. I think he could have been a great defense coordinator at an Alabama in their heyday. I think he could have been a great defensive coordinator at LSU in their heyday. I think he could have been a great defensive coordinator at Notre Dame in their heyday, which are trying to get back. That's how much respect I have for him. And by the way, Brad White, who, by the way, turned down LSU and more money to stay here, and he got a really good raise. So, let's lay it all fair on the table. I've stalled enough with information. Now you're going to have to answer.
That's so hard for me because, first of all, I want people to understand that Coach Smith was on the Tulane staff with Sean King when Tulane went undefeated. So remember that. I'm going to always go with my guy because he was my DB coach before he was defensive coordinator. And I saw the talent level that we had on our side of the ball when we were there does not match the talent level that Coach White has had at UK. So I'm going to go with Coach Smith because he did more with less.
Okay.
But man, it's hard because this is why, you know what? I might give it to Coach White. And here's why. Coach Smith, even though he didn't have the amount of talent, we ran the same system my years there. And when he was at Tulane, he ran the same system. What I've seen Coach White do is adapt his system to the talent that he has on his team. When he didn't have Trevin Wallace, let's say when he went Trevin Wallace a few years ago, they were a more attacking team until Trevin Wallace got hurt. He had to adapt. That's why I give Eddie Graham so much credit because his ability to adapt his scheme to the talent on his team. Coach White has done that so many times. He went from Josh Allen to not having Josh Allen. He went from having great safeties to not having the level of Darius West in the Honey Badger. Like the way that he morphs his defense to the talent means that he checks his ego at the door and just say, I'm not going to run my system regardless who's there.
That's a great comment. Let me throw a couple things at you. One,
that's a hard one, man.
I respect that. I don't think Rick Smith ran the same system because of his ego. I think that's what he knew. And I think what you're saying, saying, and he wanted, I talked to him about this one time. He thought it was very important to do the same thing so that kids weren't thinking on the field. So I don't know if he could have adjusted. I'm going to guess yes. The second thing is I want to put an interesting thought. I know I didn't play the game and you don't realize what I know, so I'm going to be pompous and throw it at you. Brad White, when you go to the NFL and come back, you learn a lot of different things. When you go to the NFL, there's a lot more changing going on with professional athletes. It's to a degree that it's tough for somebody who didn't play the game, as it's been explained to me, to understand how much alterations happen. I mean, when you played for Bill Belichick, I've talked to some of the guys when I was doing 700 WLW who played for him and knew what was going on. You went in on the Tuesday and you knew that whatever happened last week, you got to forget about it. That there was going to be a whole new game plan. And if you were, let's say, playing a team the second time and it worked really well the first time, it didn't make a difference. He was going to switch it up anyway and then maybe go back to it. And so you had to literally learn an entire new game plan. And that's not true very often in college. And so what I'll give you an example. Sampson, the Houston coach, who I think is for years I've been saying is one of the best college coaches. He's an unbelievable basketball coach. I heard him talk about years ago with my buddy Dick Hoops Weiss, who was doing a podcast at the time, that he learned more basketball as an assistant coach in the NBA. It was kind of like I didn't know what I didn't know, and he was open to learning, and he said it made him a much better coach because all the switching defenses and stuff like that you do in college, that it made him a much better college coach when he went in. There's a reason why I always say this. There's so many great, for example, in the NBA, assistant coaches that we don't know who the hell they are, and they're great shot teachers, coaches, but we don't know who they are. They make $400,000 a year or $500,000 a year. They stay in the background. They want to stay in the ground, and they're great at what they do. San Antonio had the same guy for years until he moved somewhere else. And they're just great at what they do. There's a different level at the professional level where you can learn more. I wonder how much better Brad White is from going to the NFL and coming back.
And then there's a double-edged sword because you learn a lot, but you can't implement what you do in the NFL and in college because guys can't handle it.
No, but it does give you more choices.
It does.
And it might give you some tricks to say, okay, I can't change 30 things, but maybe I can change 5 or 6, and this is how they did it in the lane. And here's the other thing to consider. Van Hiles, former Studley DB, kind enough to join us. Sometimes when you learn more, it gives you different choices as to how you want to change that you weren't seeing in college because of the simplistic system in most colleges compared to whatever. I can't tell you how many times through the years when Kentucky was bad, and one of the lines you'd hear, we need to make it simple so the guys can just react. You don't hear that in the NFL because if you can't really handle it, guess what? They're going to get somebody else unless you're a guy who can go rush the passer and get 14 sacks and you say, just go get him. It's a different world. You know, there aren't a lot of dumb football players in the NFL, contrary to what a lot of people think. You agree with that?
No.
You think there's a lot of dumb football players in the NFL?
When you say a lot, maybe you're right. Maybe not a lot, but there are. Now I'm about to say something stupid.
No, just
there's not a lot, but there's a lot.
Okay.
So just think about it. There are.
Do you think Bill Belichick is going to have dumb players when he coached New England?
Belichick, no. He has. Ooh, boy, that's hard now because I know a couple. They were not the smartest.
I'm sure that's true. What? You got to give me names. You can't do it. Okay. You know what? The whole world needs to see your face on YouTube. Seriously, you are so. It's like man. You are really okay. I'm not saying the NFL is full of geniuses. Okay, I'm just saying. Let me put it to this way. I know this from my time with the Bengals. There were some guys who were good enough physically to play in the NFL, and if it was close with a guy who wasn't as fast, wasn't as strong, but he was smarter, could pay more attention and do it, they often went, and also money had something to do with it too. It's not just the Bengals, how much guaranteed money you have and all that kind of stuff and what kind of player you are, and do you really, pay attention to what you're doing. But there are a lot of times where they take the guy who's lesser because they're not worried about what he's doing. You don't have that choice in college. You really don't. If you got a senior who's been there 3 years and you got a freshman not ready, you got to live with it. So my point is well taken. And again, you're going to say I'm right.
Yeah, no, that's why it's hard for me to say.
Wait, is that the way you're saying I'm right? Come on.
No, I'm not.
I need to hear that.
I'm not saying that. There is. So when you have guys who stick around in the NFL for a long time, those are guys who you know are smart. When you have guys, a lot of guys who come in and get a quick flash in the NFL, then you wonder, like, where are they at? It's probably some of the times their IQ is lower and they're not able to sustain that because once teams get film on you, they start game planning you. And sometimes just athletic ability is not going to get you through.
I agree 1,000%.
So there are instances where it's like almost like you hit your head on the ceiling because now I've limited myself. Instead of having a cathedral ceiling, you have an 8-foot ceiling because of your intelligence.
Let me give you another way of saying it that you're going to agree. It's kind of like a weeding out process because guys in the league can be there 8 years. You can't be 8 years in college, although with NIL, maybe you will someday. The point, Calzada's now in his 7th year or 6th year, whatever the heck it is, not the point. But you know what I'm saying. Yes. And what happens is some of those guys, you're 100% right, stick because they're not as good physically as you think, but they're so smart and they know that first step. I'm trying to think of the guy. He played AA ball. Walked on at Wisconsin, if I remember right, and played with the Bengals for a long time, and then got a contract with somebody else, and he never broke 4.6.
I'm going to tell you one now.
Never broke 4.6, but you know what? As I was told by the Bengals, never took a bad step. Knew exactly where he was going. Good special team guy. Learned a number of different positions quickly and wasn't a great player, but he carved out a career when physically he had a walk-on so I think it was Wisconsin. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But he played in the league for a number of years, and there was no question. He was beating out guys that were absolutely, unequivocally, physically superior to him, but the coaches trusted him.
I'm going to give you two. Hines Ward, for as long as he played for Pittsburgh, I covered him man-to-man. Hines Ward is not an elite athlete. Don't get me wrong, to go to Georgia, to go to the NFL, you have to be athletic. You have to be a very good athlete. He wasn't elite, though. And Kelso, who played with the Bills, not imposing character, not the greatest athlete, but IQ-wise, those two guys were off the chart. I'm talking about offensive guys. There's some defensive guys that have done the same thing. Rod Woodson, as he got older, his intelligence took over. He was athletic, young, elite athlete, but then when you get older, obviously when you get in your 30s, you start to lose a step. But because of the IQ, he was able to still play at an elite level.
He's a really good example because he was I'm interrupting you on he was a great player who was a blur and wasn't a blur the last 3-4 years. He had a bunch of injuries and stuff like that, but he was like a coach on the field.
Exactly.
And if he wasn't that smart, he probably would have been cut 3-4 years before. Van Haas, I have to be nice to you again. See, why can't you admit when I'm right all the time and I can compliment you? Jimmy got it. Clayton Fedulum.
Never heard of him.
Played in the NFL.
Clayton.
Oh, he gave Cisco Bryant just gave us a really good name too, and he's right. Billy Bates of the Cowboys.
Yes.
Good. Cisco, that's a good one. Thanks for the text.
That's a good one.
Fedulum, if you look him up. Thanks, Jimmy. I thought it was Wisconsin. Then I text Jimmy. I thought it was Illinois, so I was wrong. Once I said Illinois, Jimmy was like this.
That's why I didn't get it.
No, I had the wrong school. When I got the right school, snap your fingers. I can't believe how fast Jimmy got it. That was really impressive.
No, that is good to search for that one.
Jimmy, did you figure that off your head? Because you almost didn't have time to look it up.
When you said Illinois, I remember it was a white guy that wore number 42. And I looked at it for the Bengals in that because I think it was at some point during the show, we've looked him up before.
We have?
When I saw his Wikipedia picture, I was like, I remember this dude.
Oh, hey, guess what? See, we have to figure this out where I can have a gallery on my phone, but I'm bowing. I don't know if you can see this. I'm bowing to Jimmy right now. Jimmy, that was impressive because
that was impressive.
Normally he's quick with the answers, but you get a feeling he looked it up. This was, and he remembered his numbers.
Right. That's the other part. Wow. Now, Jimmy, the worst part you said was he's a white guy. I don't like that.
Why?
I don't know.
No. Okay. So hang on. This you bring up no. I know. This is an interesting topic, and I've always kind of wanted to broach this. So I'm glad you brought it up. I'm being serious now. So there's race and there's race. So I want you to answer this, and I'm being very serious.
Okay.
So guys in the I've talked to enough guys that I already know this is true from all the interviews I've done. Okay. So guys in the locker room said, yeah, that for a white boy, that guy can really run. How many times have you heard that in the locker room, by the way? Or how about this? My favorite thing, there's no way Jimmy can pull out up this fast, but one of my favorites of all time was Nolan Richardson when he was coaching in Arkansas.
Larry Bird?
Yeah, the Larry Bird story, where he's listening to a game on radio, and I think when he was in Tulsa, they were playing one of his arch rivals or something like that. We've played it a couple times through the years, and he's just listening to the game, and whoever Indiana State was playing, he was rooting for them just because he didn't like that other team because he used to compete against them. Nolan was tough now. Nolan's one of the greatest coaches of all time and wonderful helping people out and dealt with more racial crap. This is not what I'm saying is not racial crap. This is how people talk. Yeah. So he does the whole thing. And he's here to play by and Bird doing this and Bird do that and Bird do this and Bird do that. He assumed he wasn't white.
Right.
And then when he found out, and he got a huge laugh, and I'm not doing it, it's really good. He goes, when he found out the next day, he goes, that white boy can play. And so I don't think, do you think that's race? That's just, that's culture.
No, yeah,
isn't that culture? That doesn't make,
say this.
Wait a second, that doesn't make Nolan a racist?
No,
that's how guys talk.
I will say this.
By the way, and I got to tell you, my dealings with Nolan, I think he's a great man, and I need to get him on the show, and I haven't done it. I have my respect for him and what he dealt with. You know, he couldn't get a job. He took a junior college job that nobody wanted in a really terrible place, and all of a sudden he's winning a couple national championships because that's who he was, and he helped those kids, which to me is just as important, by the way, and I know it is to you, Van, and all kidding around. So I don't think that's race. I think that's how guys talk.
No, I've had it done multiple times in track. It was a white guy who was lightning fast when I was running summer track, and I was okay. I was pretty good, and I always used to run the second leg. And for some reason, they put me on third that week. And my buddy, the white guy, was like, "Man, why y'all put that white guy with me on second leg?" Like it was a dig to him. Like what? Y'all think this white boy gonna beat me? Like, dude, you white too. He's like, no, I'm not white. I'm faster than him. So no, that's it happens. Like Larry Bird has always said it many times. Like, why you got this white guy guarding me? You know I'm gonna put 40 on. Like, it's.
I was just about to say that.
It is a thing that gets you going. Just another chip on your shoulder. No, it's not demeaning in any way. it is a competitive competition thing. No, that's in the game of battle. A lot of things go that some people will deem a problem, but we all know in the heat of the moment, as long as you're not stepping over the line, it's all in competition.
Oh, by the way, that's a great way of putting it. See, I've complimented you way too many times, and you've only given me some when I've been right, and I'm really disappointed in you. Yeah, as long as you don't step over the line. And let me tell you something, white and black guys who play sports, they all know instantly if you're stepping over the line.
Oh, for sure.
And you know what some of the funny stuff is now? The guys like the John Sallys of the world and so many great basketball players from that era. And I've watched a lot of these things on Facebook. They are hysterical talking about Bird. Hysterical, Dominique, well, I can't believe that boy can play. And it's great humor. And that's what so many athletes miss. That's why some of these podcasts, when you have 3 former athletes and you don't need a voice like me, when the guys are good talking anyway, they don't need me. Not that they're going to ask me, they don't know me, but somebody like me on that level. You don't need somebody like me because they're all good talkers and they can talk. And it's like 3 guys at the barbershop just throwing the breeze around. And it's real life and it's great. And those guys miss talking about stuff like that.
There are so many stories that now the statute of limitations are over.
Okay, give me one. Give me one right now. Fan House, give me one right now. Come on.
A good story. Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
All right. So this would have been 95, I think. We're playing LSU at home. Now, remember, I'm from Louisiana, so this is a big game for me. And I am outside, and we have meetings. And you know Coach Curry, if you're 5 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. So I'm outside of the gate in the parking lot closer to the football fields, and I'm talking with the person I was dating at the time. And back in those days, didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a wristwatch. Lost track of time. All right. So I am walking. So say bye. I'm walking. Lost track of time. Don't know I'm late. So I'm walking to Nutter. Coach Archer comes out, and he looks at me, and he shakes his head. I'm like, "What's wrong, Coach? You know you're late." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I haul tail into the locker room. Now, if you know the old meeting room, there's two entrances. There's an entrance from the film session, of entrance from the locker room. So I enter from the locker room. And when Coach Curry is at the podium, you're done. No matter if it's 20 minutes early, it doesn't matter. When he stands at the podium, you're late. So I open the door. Everybody looks at me. I'm like, oh, Lord, my head slumps. Through the meeting room door, someone comes in. Everybody looks. Now, Coach Curry looking at me about to say something. The person comes through the other end is Mo Williams. Coach Curry says, "All right, guys, sit down. We're all good." If it was anybody else, I was done.
You were done.
I was done.
You were done.
But since Mo Williams, the greatest back, in my opinion, UK history, steps in, we were not late, but we were not there before he stepped up. Since Mo went in, he was like, "All right, guys, y'all sit down. We all good."
Did you go up and hug Mo after it was over?
We looked at each other.
I bet. That look was volumes.
Whoo! So that's a good story.
Mo
that I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. Ever tell you the Mo Williams recruiting story?
No, tell me that one.
Okay. Tommy Limbaugh was recruiting him. I get a phone call 10:30 at the TV station before the news. And Limbaugh says, "What are you doing?" What? And he explains to me that he's recruiting Mo and he will not hang up the phone because if he hangs up the phone, another coach is going to call. Signing day was the next day and he couldn't lose Mo because Curry would kill him. I used to be really close with Tommy Limbaugh. Not exaggerating a word of this. Tommy, I'm like, "Why are you calling? What can I do?" He goes, "Are you ready for this? I'm hungry." He said, "Would you mind after the show dropping by the coach's office? The door is already open and get me some coffee, burgers. I don't care what it is." I said, "Well, there's a McDonald's close to the TV station and it's always open late." give me some fries and a couple of burgers. And so I think, I don't remember what, I got this big thing of couple of order of serious as a heart attack. Couple of order of fries. I got him the large Cokes and Coke because I didn't know what he wanted. And I come in and you know how they put the stuff in boxes. I don't go to McDonald's in boxes. I'm carrying in 2 boxes, and he's on the phone, covers the phone. He goes, he's mouthing to me, "Bless you, bless you, bless you." And then he points me to sit down. I'm going, why does he want me to sit down? And the light, I knew where his office was anyway, but the light was on. The gate was open and the light was on. There's no other lights on. And so now this is after 11 o'clock news. Did I get there after midnight? Yeah, it had to be a little after midnight because, leaving the station, whatever. It was, I don't think it was 12:30. Yeah, it was 12:30, 21, something like that. And I stayed there for a couple of minutes and he goes, "I'm still talking to Mo." And I'm mouthing, "What the hell are you talking to him about nonstop for hours?" Goes,
You know what's crazy? It makes sense.
It's true story.
Because kids now don't understand the fact that, like, kids now, you might have a house phone, you might have a cell phone, you might have 2 cell phones. We only have 1 phone. So if that phone is locked up, no one, if you don't have call waiting, he should have call waiting. But if you don't have call waiting, you just get the busy signal.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's just crazy.
I'm putting my hand up.
Why was Mo still on the phone? Why did Mo just hang up on him?
I don't know. Now, I don't know if he also, I can't answer this, if he also at times was talking to like his mom or something like that.
Okay.
But he was on the phone for hours and hours with him.
So he was talking to the mom, the sister.
I'm assuming, I don't know.
Because his sister was at UK.
Yes.
So he was just, Tom was calling everybody. He was like, "Hey, can you get your uncle on? Let me talk to him."
I can't answer that. I don't know. But I'm telling you about the food and the door being open and delivering the food.
Hey, I will say this.
Is that a classic story?
That's a classic story.
I wish I had another one like that to tell you, but I don't. Matter of fact, I don't even have one that I can't tell you. That's my best story when it comes to recruiting.
Without Mo, we don't win a game in '94, although we only won 1. We definitely, the status of UK without Mo during the time I was there wouldn't have been good.
Let me throw this at you about Mo. I've never said this to anyone. He had a really nice NFL career. He really did. I mean,
a great one.
Yeah, there's a yes and no to that. He had a really nice NFL career. Now, just before you jump on me, I really thought he was used so much here, and I believe in this theory a lot, by the way. There are some guys that peak in college because they take so much pounding. He was so strong for a guy his size. He took so many hits. I think he left part of his game at UK because they needed him all the time. He never complained about it, whatever. He seemed to have lost a step quicker than some other guys. I really watched him carefully. And he really turned into a different kind of football player. And partly because he was used differently. But he became a really good blocker, which he really wasn't in high school because he had the ball all the time in college. And he was so smart and adjustable. He was a really good blocker. He became a wonderful third down back and just an okay runner. And I remember watching him in the NFL. I'm going, this sounds crazy. And it's an eye thing and a feel thing. He wasn't as fast. He took so many hits in college. I mean, how many times did he get the ball X number of times in a row? How many times in a row did he save Kentucky? How many times in a row did he have the guts to go up the middle, which he did, never back down, put those big shoulder pads that he had down? And for a guy his size, because, he was obviously ripped without shoulder pads. You know that better than me. I've seen him without shoulder pads on. But he ran like a fullback with tailback speed. I honestly believe he lost his tailback speed, but still was quick enough when he went to the NFL because of, come on, everybody knew he was getting the ball, and you still couldn't stop him. And I'll tell you what, I thought the offensive line exceeded their expectations because they all liked Mo, and they all knew they were blocking for him. I thought the blocking was better than the individuals, which is a credit to UK because they were blocking for Mo. But I really thought he lost something at Kentucky. I'm not ripping Kentucky. I'm not ripping Mo. It's amazing what he did. I mean, come on, there were times he was carrying the ball 40 times.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna say
too much. It's too much, and they had nobody else to give it to.
I don't think Mo was as fast. Mo didn't have elite speed. Here's what I'm going to say.
You're right. He did not. But actually, by the time his last couple years in the league, he was actually slow for a running back. I honestly believe. So you're right. He was never a burner, but I think he got slower. But his intelligence and his ability to play was amazing.
I'm going to say this, and this is how I feel about even picking the right college.
Oh, I got to interrupt you. Hang on. I got to interrupt you. Breaking news. Seriously. Jimmy just sent this. Comes from Ian Rappaport, who's one of the best NFL guys.
Okay.
Okay. First round pick, Maxwell Hairston. Left practice with a knee injury yesterday.
Oh, no.
Had tests that revealed his ACL to be intact for me and Mike Garofalo. It's an LCL sprain, and Hairston could be back in as few as 3 weeks. Jimmy, thank you so much. That's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, now wait a second. You owe me another apology.
It's going to be 4.
Yeah. Okay, even if it's 4. Here I did breaking news about Chandler because he was a basketball player. You got upset.
Don't do that.
And now I'm giving you breaking news about Hairston, and they're both equally important.
No, Hairston's way more important.
I'm not going to call you a snob. You know what I'm going to call you?
I'm a homer.
Well, then that's okay. You're a snurd. You know what a snurd is?
What's the S part means?
The snurd is a cousin of a snob.
Oh, okay. That's fair. I like that.
The cousin you don't like to talk to.
I like that. Here's the thing about Mo. I'm going to say about Mo.
We got 1 minute.
All right. The great thing about Mo, and this is what I want everybody to understand. Now, he didn't pick his destination. He went to the perfect destination for him. He went to Denny Green, whom is a player's coach. And once he loves you, he loves you.
Good point.
And to be able to play on that level for more than 5 years, to play on it 9, 10 years, I think that was the perfect destination. I would rather go and play for 10 years than to play for 2 and be great for 1, and then now you're out of the league. I think the situation, I know for us players, you want to be the dude on the team, but I would rather accept my role when I'm playing behind Robert Smith, who is an elite player. I understand I'm not going to get the amount of carries, but I'm going to succeed in the role that they give me, and that takes a lot of talent to accept a role. And I like Mo. I love Mo, really. I'm so proud of him for accepting that role and not being a malcontent and complain about, I'm not getting the carries. I played for a team, I carried about 40 times. Now I'm getting no carries. For him to accept that role says a lot about him, big time.
One, that's a great comment. And 2, Mo and Robert Smith were really good friends. And Robert Smith is a really good dude, too.
He is.
And Denny Green took care of veterans. Last comment, Denny Green got screwed. I always thought it was disgusting he didn't get another head coaching job. And I wondered if it had something to do, should I say it?
Uh-oh.
You think it's because of the color of his skin?
I don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to dig into it, but I know they shouldn't have fired him.
Well, the firing I didn't agree with, but 2 coaches who are African-American who I will never understand, ever understand. I know we're late. I make a quick comment and the show's over. That never got another head coaching job. I will never, ever understand were Denny Green and Marvin Lewis. The job that Marvin Lewis did in Cincinnati, if they don't have injuries, he probably wins the Super Bowl, and he changed the entire organization. He changed the Brown family. He had respect to the guys. He built things properly. I thought at most he'd be out a year and have another head coaching job. I will never, ever understand that.
Good point. I forgot about Marvin Lewis. He has never gotten a head coaching job.
No,
Right.
and kind of struggled to get a job.
Yeah.
I mean, plus he had
He's
all
a
these
great defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Great
plus he had all these friends in the league and still didn't get another head coaching job. Marvin was kind
friends don't matter if the owner doesn't want you.
Amen. I want you to think about that. Maybe we'll talk about this some other time. I'm not one to put the race card. Maybe it's a coincidence. Denny Green won a lot of games.
Yes, he did.
And didn't get another head coaching job.
You're right.
Okay. And Marvin won a lot of games. Okay, he didn't win a playoff game. I get that. That's wrong. Whatever. There were 2 years that they might have had the best.
Palmer.
Yeah. And when Carson Palmer ripped his knee and when the
playoff game.
The playoff game, and also he's yelling at me. Time to go. The defensive lineman, their best defensive lineman, who ripped his knee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going blank. I got to go.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Hey, this was a Seriously, great conversation. I was looking at 25 minutes. We just did an hour, and it flew by so fast. Bless you.
Anytime.
Bless you. That was
Sorry,
seriously, Van.
Sorry, I
that
blew
was,
your ears out.
No, you were great. You were great. Seriously, this was a great hour. Jimmy, I apologize for being so long. Van, thank you very much. Gene, thank you very much. Have yourself a great day. I will see you